Okay, and we're on. Hi everyone. With me today is Martin from the atelier formerly known as Jamatra's Pulp Atelier. How are you doing, Martin?
Yeah, thanks. I'm great. Thanks for having me, Carl.
Hey,
Really,
welcome anytime. Uh, I think we've been talking for just over a year now, I think, and this is the first time we're actually able to talk face to face.
yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. You said you had some
No,
questions,
no,
and
I don't have some questions. I have a lot of
I
questions.
have I have questions for you too. So I'm
Hey,
really
no
looking
worries.
forward. So
So let's say hello to the people in the chat first. There's Cross who had to drop out. Hi Cross. Charlene is also in the chat. Hi Charlene. And Sonder from 1 die 6 Crafting Damage. Hope you're all having a great day.
hey everyone.
So, Martin, to be honest, I really don't know from where to start from because you're doing quite a lot of stuff. You've got map making, model making, miniature terrain making, illustration. Where would you like to start from?
Um, yes, for me it's like we talked a bit some minutes before. Um, I'm uh, I'm not like I started making stuff and drawing or so from kindergarten age, but quite the opposite. I was always surrounded by people uh, doing graphic design, arts, graffiti, whatever kind of stuff, and obviously well, not obviously, but in my teens I enjoyed playing tabletop games, and so of course I painted some minis back then, if you can call it like that. It was first tries and so on, but I never really got into painting a lot myself or trying out stuff in the artistic ways. Maybe because I always thought it's the others are much better. Maybe I don't know. It's a weird thing, and yeah, I came into fantasy map making via playing pen and paper, role playing games, especially the German, the Dark Eye. It's the most populous German RPG.
I know of it. I never played it mainly but I had the board game once. It's the one with the little castle on it and stuff. Actually, I think that was one of the first miniatures I painted was from that box set. But I never played it because I can't read German.
Yeah. Yes, I think they made a small skirmish tabletop
I
range,
think
but
so. Yeah.
never continued it after some years. And yeah, and I came into trying myself out more artistically, drawing maps and stuff from this more functional perspective of okay, I have to prepare for campaign and in my pen and paper group, and so I'm going to draw something, and
So they're
yeah.
kind of your own settings and worlds and so on.
Yes, of course. Yeah, drawing city maps or little dungeon maps and so on.
Yeah, I think we can throw a few of them on screen. So I think you're going to have a bit of a delay, but the first
Yes.
one up is the I think this one is from 2015, Xeno Archeology.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the more experimental ones. And when I joined a very nice community of people. It's called the Cartographers Guild. It's a community of fantasy map makers, sci-fi map makers, and so on, kind of mapping fictional places and imaginary places, which is quite a fun thing to do because, yeah, you only do it with a certain purpose, drawing maps for, don't know, fantasy novels or sci-fi novels, or, yeah, especially for tabletop RPGs, or maybe, yeah.
This one, for example, reminds me a lot of the Dune strategy game from the 90s. I'm not sure if it's the
Yeah,
palette of colors or stuff, but it's still got that kind of look to it.
Yeah, I always really enjoy when people are talking, that reminds me of this and this, and because usually I have like all these influences, or I can't deny those influences, like of course I play Dune strategy game, or like it's also like influenced by some kind of older, don't know, maybe Star Trek, Klingon panel design for sci-fi stuff and so on, and yet that was kind of a first try to go into the sci-fi realm, which I never did before, like trying to make how do I make planets, and how do I make these different kind of scaled maps, like a sector map or galaxy map, and then the planet and so on. And with this one I had some fun doing all the names for it. At 19th century anthropologists, because I studied them for quite a long time, and I thought, okay, maybe someone who explored them first was a geeky guy who enjoys way back stuff, and he called all the systems and planets and stuff on these planets in this system after the old cultural anthropologists or social anthropologists. Yeah.
It's really nice to have that kind of Easter eggs in a setting, especially
of course.
When people, it's like with movies or comics or stuff, and people are like, "Oh, I know that! I know what that is! I know what that is!"
Yeah.
So, Earthman Brick and Tina in the chat. Hi guys, and Sonder is babysitting young die for crafting damage. So hello to him as well. Okay, one thing that really amazed me about these maps is how detailed they are. I mean, like, I can't put the whole map on screen because they're absolutely enormous, but with this one, for example, I took a zoomed in section, which is just a little bit of the spire around here. Oops, there you go. I mean, these maps are enormous, and I mean, like, the detail in them is incredible. It's how do you make them? I mean, do you use pen and paper? Do you use mapping software? How do you do this?
This okay. I now see it. It's the Kayak map. Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites. Or I would say, I always had the feeling like I won't get better like this. It's like for my personal peak time.
I don't know, because there's one from later, which is there are a couple of later which are just beautiful. I mean, they're artworks. This one is good, but there are a couple I think are even better.
Yeah, and this one particularly is it has been. I mean, it's cut out a bit the shape of this country or the empire. And it was for a community project. We made a guild world for this cartographers guild, where I spent a lot of time the last years, and it's really great having like 20 to 30 people all making their own countries with own culture, backgrounds, and a massive community world building project, so to speak. And that really fired my imagination, and we made some kind of in community role playing with the neighbors, like, okay, why is the border like this?
Of course, why because you can't have one country isolated from everything else. It's
yes, and making a bit like of a diplomacy game out of it with some people who enjoyed it, at least, and it was total fun, and that was really pushing me hard to pushed me hard to invest time and energy into it and trying out new things. And as you asked how I make them, all my stuff was done with GIMP. It's free open source software. And I once bought like a small pen tablet, it's called, and it was a hard process to come to a kind of a style that I was myself really happy with, and enjoyed it, of course, that other people liked it too. So of course it's always like this pushing me further to trying out, and of course with drawing, especially because I don't have artistic background. Like if you see me drawing a face, you know, everyone would laugh. You know, like it's,
Yeah, no, trust me. I mean, like seeing these maps, I can't tell that you don't have an artistic background because some of them are really professional stuff. I mean,
yeah, many
let's
thanks.
put it another way. I've seen maps printed in RPG books or gaming books which look less professional than this.
Yeah, okay. Of course, it can always. I mean, many thanks to hear. Like, always great to hear that. And yeah, I only can say like I stand on the shoulders of giants. You know, like it's. I always had my eyes open and looking for the stuff I really like myself. You know, like and try to imitate it, but also in the way trying to find my own perspective on it, and so and yeah.
What about this one, for example, the flying city of Asun?
Yeah, Azun.
Azun. Okay.
Yeah, that was a kind of. I'm not sure. That's a fun one because it was on how it's called, square paper. You know?
Graph paper, yeah.
Graph paper. Yeah, graph paper. It's called, of course. Yeah, and but I enjoyed the sketch so much that I kept it and colored it nonetheless. And it was like, yeah, it's a kind of a trope, you would say in English, I think. It's the flying island, you know, like with the waterfall falling down and so on. It's kind of fantasy trope, and yeah, here I try to transport it into a kind of a yeah, I don't know, dream world, science fiction world. An island drifting through space, you know.
Yeah, that looks cool with that city hanging on between those two mountains.
Yeah. These are these moments, you know, like if you are drawing some stuff and you think like, what would be cool, you know, like the stuff I enjoy seeing
it's
myself.
fantasy.
You know?
Go all out.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay. Again, this one is one of the larger ones, Grunt and Cursed.
Yeah. That was one of my earlier, like bigger regional maps. You know, like the way I draw these, for example, the mountains and the forest and so on, or which I learned to draw like this, or wanted to keep it like this. It's more, it's how to say, it's more like for really local maps, you know, and it's really hard to draw it in a bigger, or in a scale for a world map, so to speak. And yeah, there I experimented a bit also with yeah, making some kind of don't know, the place names, you know, make it somewhat coherent. The world, it's more yeah, old, strange old German language stuff, you know, like Grunt and Cursed. It's like, okay, it's only Germans can pronounce it, I guess, and it's like more a bit of joking with some names and so on. And yeah,
I think we had a conversation about that last time when we were talking about my Mordheim warband about Kind Wilhelm.
Yes.
And again,
yeah,
like most of the language in Warhammer and Mordheim is like it sounds German, but it's really just mashed up together.
Yeah, totally. And
but
yeah, and it's
I mean, like yeah, using languages other than English is nice to put in those jokes, like hiding jokes in the stuff.
Yes, and it's like, of course, in these forums, I mean, all these things I just made for myself and for fun, and it's like, it has no real. Some of them, of course, I instantly starting to work build around these maps, and I have quite a lot of ideas about these worlds, so to speak. But it's not like, okay, I'm doing it especially for this campaign where I did this for some stuff. But a lot of maps are just like out there in the blue, so to speak, you know. And it's like,
yeah, I mean, like, just like drawing them for the sake of drawing them, like because you're having fun drawing them.
Yeah, but like with this one, for example, it was the first one. First time someone contacted me and said, "Oh wow, I really like the map, and can I use it for for an RPG campaign for myself, you know, like, and I said, oh, great, yeah, if you like, go for it. And I started to editing the names out of it, so he has a kind of a blank map, and you can work on it itself, you know, like.
I have a question. When you're drawing on these details, like for example the mountains and the trees and so on, do you use some kind of brush, or do you just literally draw them one by one? How does it work?
It's okay. Yeah. No, that's of course, you know. One moment. You know, it's like this kind of small.
Small. I know the tablet. Yeah.
Tablet, yeah, pen tablet, and it's. Of course, nowadays, I mean, I don't know when, maybe 2016 or so. And in the last years, many free softwares for map making came out, you know, like, but yeah, you could always, you had this kind of sets for stamps, you know, like where you can stamp your mountains and stuff. But I'm not I think I haven't done it yet. So sometimes I use like these little icons for cities. I make them one time and then I copy them, of course, you know, like, but especially with the landscape, I try to draw it all by myself because it's, nice. I mean, I have the time for it, you know, because it's like, yeah, I enjoy the process itself, and it's no one, I have no deadline for a project, you know, like, so I can put all the details in it as I like, and
that's fantastic. That is fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. Great to hear that you like it.
No, I love all of these. I mean, another one is hunger. You've got this pterodactyl kind of thing flying around.
Yeah. That's of course the total homage to one of my favorite artists and inspirations, Jean Giraud, Möbius. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Arzac comics.
Not really.
From the. Okay, one moment. It's like you've seen this guy, or does it?
I think I haven't seen. I'm not familiar with the comics. I think I have seen the image somewhere though.
Yeah, it's like the total. This is like one of the more famous, how to speak, modern heavy metal hurlant in French. Okay, you know, like the guys who pretty much changed the whole concept of comic art and so on. Yeah. And it's like, the Arzac character with his flying pterodactylus or this flying bird thing is very iconic, and so it's like a direct reference or not to him here. Yeah, that's like also really nice. One guy, you can find him on Instagram or on Twitter. He's called Miska. He's a Finnish guy, I think. And he started, I think also around 2015 or so, or 16, he started Mapvember. So like the Inktober. I'm not sure if you heard of Inktober. Yeah. And he started a Mapvember, and so he has a list of prompts, you know, and it was like, I'm not even sure what it was. It was like, hunger, it's called, and so I was.
So this was a Mapvember drawing, like it's one of those that you do in a very short time and stuff.
Yes, that was for one day. Like it was and I tried to start a little. With like to make a little narrative out of it, you know, like having a bit of a Dune situation, you know, like an imperial force is on a dusty red planet, and they are trying to, keep their asses not wiped totally, you know, and they, of course, there is the natives, you know, in some way, and they have their own culture and their own heritage and their own cultural places, you know, and this is one of them, you know, and they have these awesome flying white birds and so on. Yeah.
Oh, Gert from Dark Matter Workshop showed up. Hi, Gert.
Hey, Gert. I'm a big fan, man. I really like the work you do. It's always great seeing you around sometimes in these chats here. So,
Okay, now this is one of my favorites from the maps you sent me. Snoozys Journey. Again,
yeah.
this has some magnificent details.
Yeah, this is of course I send you some of the maps that I really like, of course, and it's the I tried with the first one, the Kayak one. I tried to implement some story directly on the map because I somewhat like it to have this kind of guide on the map, and there I tried it in a similar way where you can read the story, and of course in my somewhat bad English or in some ways it might be a bit strange, but it's my take on a classical hero's journey, like on Campbell with the steps, and going out on the adventure to in the end challenge your inner dragon, or so to speak. And it's
Hey, Dean. So I think this one is from 2016, so I think I'm going to skip through a few. No, actually, I'm just going to jump forward to next year because I think this one is one of my absolute favorites. The Murk Empire.
The way what? The Murk Empire. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about it.
Why is that?
Why is that? I said in the we had the short chat before. I made actually 2 commissions, and I was like, yeah, okay, I want to try it out just to see how it works. And I was in contact with many semi-professional map makers doing this. This like in our hobby, in the crafting hobby, there was only a handful of people who can make a living out of it. It's really niche stuff. And yeah, here I tried it because it was kind of a really nice idea, and from the guy, it was for a kind of a campaign finale and in an underdark or underworld city, fallen city, Murk Empire. But it was a really long process of back and forth with the client and so on. It was fun on the other hand, but in the end it was like, okay, I don't know. I can say it here because it's not worse, but we said it in the forefront. I was like, yeah, pretty naive, and said like, yeah, maybe $200 or so, and it seems like a lot, but in the end, I had maybe at least 100 work hours in this thing, and you can really stroll into it and have all the little details of debris from the ships floating in the sea and stuff, and all the ruins. I really had to learn a lot new techniques to be able to pull it off, so to speak. And it was like, okay, no, I can't make a living out of it, or
not at those stages for sure.
Or I really have to reduce the way I work, and then it wouldn't be fun anymore for myself.
Yeah, totally get you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always a problem when you're working on a commission basis or a contract basis. But this is beautiful. I mean, even the texture of the paper and stuff like that really comes out really nice.
Yeah, it's indeed. I mean, it's really murky. I went with the theme a bit hard on it. It's a bit too dark for my taste, but it's sometimes like this. I mean, I have no professional equipment, like I work a lot of the stuff on my normal computer, and I still haven't one of these fancy Cintiq screens to draw on and stuff. And so, yeah, sometimes you get a bit blind, you're working for so many hours on it. But yeah.
That's another thing because, like I said, these maps are really huge. So sometimes I imagine that sometimes you get lost in a tiny little corner, but you spend hours, and then when you zoom out, it's just about 2 centimeters away.
Yes, and in the end, like I'm not sure you guys, it's a common theme in tabletop gaming, for example, and here how is he called? I don't know the name. 52 miniatures or so is
Yes,
called
yeah.
the tweet. I think he makes fantastic content, and I think his last video was about like, okay, we are always looking like from at least 3 feet away, you know, on the tabletop, and yeah, of course you can paint the eyes, but no one will care, you know, like, and then here it's like, yeah, and I try to make this roots, you know, like from this vines who are creeping around, and it has to be, I'm really not happy with it, and I draw them another 2 hours, but in the end, yeah, who will care, you know, like, it's always this, yeah, getting this into a balance. Yeah, it's a long learning process, of course.
Oh yeah, totally. And especially if you, again, with tabletop miniatures, if you have 50 or 60 guys on the table, the details matter even less.
And I'm totally, especially with painting, you know, like maybe it's also because I really enjoy making terrain, and now started sculpting a bit and so on, and that's why I never cared too much about painting. So for me, it's really like base colors, and okay, I try to make kind of good wash and some dry brushing, but that's it, you know, like I really don't care about blending stuff or making many layers of highlights and so on, because it's just like, yeah.
When I'm painting, I like to do that, but again, it's because I enjoy the process. But then again, I can't work like Elston, for example. I don't know if you know Paul Elston from Destination. Like just
yes, yeah.
86 goblins in a week. Elston, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried that, but I just enjoy putting paint on miniatures. So I actually enjoy working slowly.
Yes, yeah, it's like it's the process in itself, you know. If you don't, I mean, I think he does commissions, or isn't he a commission painter also, Elston? Like,
no, I don't think he is anymore.
Okay, so because I think like with as I said, like with painting stuff like that, if you want to make a living out of it, or you are doing it as a commission, you totally going to structure the workflow, you know, like, and maybe you're make some shortcut, and you're going into a flow where you just can put out at least more like the lay persons or
that's something that, for example, Luke from Geek Gaming Scenics works on a lot, and I really love his content on that, because basically he's all like, okay, how can I make this process faster? How can I change this material to dry faster, stick faster? How can I avoid painting? And he's really like, okay, how do I get the best quality in the least amount of time? And he's always on boom, 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 boom. Dark Matter Workshop, high-end painting, only to take them off the table when they die. Yeah. And it's always the one who took longest to paint that gets taken off the table first.
Yeah, totally. It's as you said, like Geek Gaming. I love him from the as Luke's APS, or I don't know. I really enjoy the stuff he does, and it's fantastic to see that he has such a success with it, as he's going for his own line of products and so on. And of course, I think it's like with, for example, commission painting or something like this. I have this wonderful scheme of it's a kind of a triangle about like quality, speed, and money, you know, like, or how much it costs, you know, like, and you always only can have two of them, you know, like you can't have it super fast, super cheap, and the high quality, you know. You can have high quality and fast, and then it's like Luke stuff, you know, but then you have to pay for it. You have to buy the base ready stuff, and it's great. It works perfect. It's good quality and it's super fast, but it costs some stuff, yeah. Or you can go the way, okay, it's cheap and it's high quality, but then you have to invest some time in it, you know, like you have to grind your sawdust and have to do your flock and so on. Yeah, or you can have it cheap and fast, but then maybe
it's going to look cheap and fast, yeah.
maybe the quality has to, or you have to make some compromises in this triangle. And I really love the sheet, or it makes a lot of sense.
No, I mean
Looking
that applies to everything. I mean we have that at work as well, and I've seen it in other situations. So I think it's applicable to anything where anyone is producing something that is not mass produced, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Cameron Gaming. How are you doing?
Oh, hey, Stefano. Good to see you.
Okay, so another one, the Elysian Patient. This will remind me of the maps they put in the with the plan and the plan maps they put in the Warhammer 40k books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the newer ones, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I haven't read any newer books from 40k maybe for some years at least. But for me, it was like this video games, like I don't know, like StarCraft or so, and this kind of mission maps.
Mass Effect, maybe. Yeah.
Or mission dossier, I called it. Yes, and it was also for a fun challenge. I'm not sure. It was like map something wrong or something like this. The prop.
Something wrong?
And,
what do you
mean?
Map something wrong in what sense?
Yeah, that was a prop for the challenge. You know, like it was like nowadays this month's guild build is I don't know
okay.
And the prop for this challenge was map something wrong. And I was like, we always had this discussion about the realistic mapping or realistic geography, realistic geology, and so on. And there was this kind of fun institution of the river police, because many new map makers are drawing their rivers like however they want. You know, they're flowing up the mountains, or they are forking themselves in the middle of the kind of things that doesn't happen in the natural world, and so on. There's always this discussion about how to draw stuff, and I always enjoyed drawing these very high fantasy, weird shaped mountains and stuff, because it's sometimes also easier, or you can go with the flow, and it makes more fun. And there are always sometimes people who are saying, yeah, but that's not realistic, you know, like they can't erode like this, the mountain top would break down and stuff. And that's a little kind of a joke with this thing, like there are this this Marbula feat. It's some kind of alter ego. My avatar, or my name was Abulafia, and so it's like Marbula feat is on his way to this planet, and they have to charge him because he draw a postcard where he draw these strange mountains, and it's totally unrealistic. And the regime of, I don't know how I call them, like the mountain police, so to speak, or the geological sense police is going to track him down. So that's the strange story behind it. Yeah. And I really enjoyed the picture I did there from this postcard, and so I made it as an avatar for myself.
Yeah, I was going to mention, because I just realized that's where your Instagram profile comes from. Yeah, it's that little mountaintop over there. Nice.
Yeah, kind of small. He has like these houseboats, you know, like, or something like that, which is floating there, or it's hanging at the mountaintop, and it's his. I don't know.
Okay, let's see. Okay, docking bay 35, cables and beam. This one, I really like this one. It really has that watercolor look.
Which one is it? I can't see it.
Cables and beam from 2020.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the newer one. And in the meantime, I really started to drawing. First few years, I only draw digitally, and then I only started to, as I said, I had no real training before, and then I started drawing with pen and ink, and also doing some experiments with watercolors, and I really enjoyed it. It's a bit scary at first, because you don't have CTRL controls. You know, like you can't go backwards and make it okay. This line was total crap, and I just delete it and try it again. So yeah, but that makes it even more fun, so to speak. Yeah,
it's more of a challenge, yeah, but I guess you build up more confidence as you get more experience. One thing I really like about this is that it's really got that 80s style, 80s science
yeah,
fiction artwork. It's very, I don't know, it reminds me of things.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I've that's actually, of course, the influence is like a lot from, as I said, from Möbius comics. He really changed the way he made these panels, you know, like with this weird, surrealistic 60s or 70s flowing stuff. And here I worked for a kind of a world building project, or I had with a good friend, like the other map, like this Hook and Lift. It was part of the Mapvember challenge also, with some props. But me and a friend of mine, I met there at the Cartographers Guild. He's a Canadian guy. Hey, Michon, whenever you are going to watch this stream, big hello. Yeah, a really lovely guy. And we had this kind of funny story doing maps together, or as a kind of a space pirate duo, and it was kind of this pulpy adventures in space of two guys. And so this is part of a bit of a world building extravaganza going into this direction and making some making some scenes or making some settings for this world. Yeah, but it's really close to my heart, and it's one of these things where I'm actually mapping with a purpose, you know, like, or where I'm mapping or drawing in a world that is already there, and I you know, it's like my own stuff.
I really like the Art Nouveau flourishes you put on this one as well.
Again, sorry, what?
I said I really like the flourishes you put on this one, like those lines and curves going around the map and text.
Yeah. I really enjoy this kind of Jugendstil, Art Nouveau, big outlines, and experimenting a bit with these frames and border decorations, and sometimes it's a bit over the top. But
come on, it's fantasy and science fiction. It should be over the top.
Yes, and it's actually for me, it's like, in the older 70s and 80s stuff, sometimes they refer to it, but it's not too common to see the Art Nouveau and Jugendstil elements and aesthetics in this sci-fi settings, for example, or in fantasy settings. It's often, I'm not sure, I'm not an art expert or art history expert, but it's like there are these elements, and always when I browse through catalogs or artworks from this area, I'm always really excited, and I really enjoy the way they are doing this. And I think, I can pick it up and try it out in this maps.
Okay, Earthman Brick is saying that the aesthetic is great, very much like early Rogue Trader. Yes, it is. Yeah. That's I don't know if you're familiar with Rogue Trader, the game.
Familiar. I know the history of it. I never had the actual book in my hands, you know, like
I've only seen some pictures of it, but it is very reminiscent of this one.
Yeah, and it's great to hear. Maybe I should have a look more at the Rogue Trader stuff. What I found super interesting, as we are talking about Möbius and stuff and inspirations, when we have like I mean, look at the other my other favorite French comic book artist is Philippe Drouillet, you know, like, and if we are talking about I'm not sure if you can
I can see it.
I mean,
I'm not familiar with the artist though.
Yeah, it looks like if you're looking at the Realms of Chaos books from the Warhammer Fantasy range, for example. I mean, like, of course, like, oh god, sometimes I'm bad with the names, but it's super fun. You're talking about the Moorcock influence from the Moorcock world building on Games Workshop artwork, or in fact also on lore and world building. And aesthetic wise, it's also like everyone was super inspired by these late 70s or mid 70s French comic book artists, you know, like with this very baroque and weird style. And so when I look at them, I see like, yeah, this is the main source of experience or main source of inspiration for these early chaos artwork they did, which is fantastic, you know, like, and I don't want to say like it's just bitten off, you know, or like a plagiat or so, but it's super interesting to see these connections and inspirations.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like you get bits and pieces from everywhere, and then people recognize a bit of that, and it just keeps building up and growing. It just gets more interesting.
Totally, yeah, and I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of quotes, especially in English. I don't know them too well. It's I'm getting confused too. Tina wrote just something in the chat. Where am I located? I'm located in Hanover, in Germany. It's like in the northern part of Germany, quite in the middle between east and west. So yeah, not too far away from Belgium, as I said. So it's maybe one day you talked about maybe seeing each other at the Taktika in Hamburg, for example, but I'm not sure if it was cancelled this year. I think so. Once again,
is that like a wargaming convention or a gaming convention?
Yeah, well, that's one of the bigger conventions, and I have to say I've never been to any of these bigger conventions, so I would be yeah, I would love to go to one of them one day. So yeah, I have not too much experience in this community actually. So you know, but
I don't think I've ever been to a convention, so that might be something to put on the to-do list.
The convention, yeah, and it's yeah, the crisis. Yeah, Gert is calling about the crisis in Antwerpen, for example, and so on. It's like I would totally love to go. And here in Hanover, we have a really small one, and also in some other nearby cities. But yeah, for example, the Taktika in Hamburg is one of the bigger ones, and I'd love to go there once they are open again, at least. So
yeah, definitely.
But I started at this kind of way of plagiarism and so on, and it always like was a theme for me, even back in university. Also, all the idea of where do my ideas come from, you know, like, or does it always have to be so original, you know, like it's a quite maybe a German thing, but I think at least a European thing to have this the genius, you know, like who makes everything out of itself, out of his mind, you know, and it comes from nothing, you so to speak, like a miracle. And I totally don't buy it, you know. It's like more okay, the space or the place where all the different influences and all the different ideas come together. Yeah, that's quite an original place. It's myself, so to speak, you know, like, but it's all the references, it's all quotations, it's all like being influenced in one way or the other. So yeah,
I mean, even if you take Shakespeare, Shakespeare cribbed out of his stuff from different sources, so it's not like he just. Even when you get a genius like that, he doesn't just you know, pop ideas out of his head in isolation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you always can play this game like, and this guy influenced them, and so, and of course it's all going back to classics and so on.
I can tell you, it really is a fun game, because once you start looking, okay, this guy is referencing this one. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about this one yet.
Yeah, I enjoy the process of this kind of how to say criminological, going, you know, like following the paths and so on. I really like it. in itself as a game, because it's super interesting. You find new sources of inspiration, you know, like it's like when I first come back, like reading Moorcock, for example. I haven't read Moorcock as a child or as a youth. I read Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, for example, and I needed some time to grasp, okay, there are Robert Howard or Moorcock and other ancient forefathers of fantasy, for example, you know, like, but in fact it's always really I see it as inspiring.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do, not a police investigation. Bringing up
quite
the last map here, Fern Coast.
Yeah, that's the newest one. So it's like that was a total doodle. I was like, oh man, I haven't drawn for so long, and I really need to.
You call this a doodle?
Yeah, or it's like no. It started as a doodle. It started like this. It's like I just want to draw something, and I started with actually taking some black tea from my morning coffee and just put something on the paper, and it's like especially map makers, that's common technique, you know, like you put something like rice or anything on the paper, and then you start outlining it and have some kind of random a random map, so to speak, or a random coastline. And so there I started with, because the shape itself, talking about realism, it's a bit like fjord like or so, but in fact when I would go for a realistic continent shape or island shape, I wouldn't draw it like this, so I would go in details a bit different. And so and so I started, and I wanted to try it out with this kind of also Jung style or
border.
Art Nouveau border. Yeah,
it looks pretty. I mean, that's some very nice framing, and again, the fine details in here. It's beautiful stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, glad you enjoy them. That's the problem with it. When I look at these, sometimes I only see the flaws in it, you know, like man, there, the one there, and like that. Or one of my personal flaws is the labeling, you know, like the calligraphy or the writing of the names themselves. They always look super wonky, and I'm like, or I forgot to, or I forget to space them out beforehand or stuff. But
but I think that happens to everyone in all media. Like you're always going to fixate on that tiny corner of the painting or whatever that you could have done better, but no one else in the world will ever see it.
Yes, and with the terrain it's the same, you know, like it was with my last builds, it was the same, like with when you're doing it for these guild builds, for example, you know, like I was really like, I'm really hyped, and I really like to make it and invest some time into it. And on the other hand, then I was like, okay, man, I'm super I really don't like this one, and this detail is really crappy and stuff. And then I said, okay, but you have to make 3 photos. You know, like, no one else will see what is here in my workspace. You know, like it's and I can totally make it as I like. You know, with taking the perspective, which has the it's called chocolate side or the better side. You know, and yes.
Okay, Tina says, Jesus Martin, I want to build one of your maps.
Yes, that's one of the things. I mean, of course, we are talking about original ideas and stuff, you know, like Jezza stole it from me, you know. I always wanted to make a kind of terrain map like this, and I mean Mel, the terrain tutor, did it some years ago already. He made a great map from Jared Blando, who also makes maps for D&D and stuff. And he made a great continent map from it and started it. And Jezza made something like this on his new channel of him. It was really fascinating. Go watch it. And I would really go in this. I really would like to go in this direction, making it sometime. But it needs space, like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Already.
I mean, you could make it as something that you could hang on the wall.
Yeah, for example. Yeah, that's right. That would be the best idea for on the ceiling.
Yeah, but about details, for example, that's one of the things about tabletop terrain, for example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you can get away with a lot, like we said, with miniatures before you're only going to see them from a distance. The other thing about tabletop terrain is that if the players are noticing mistakes in the terrain, the game is probably very boring. So you should not be playing it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so.
Yeah, because again, I remember in the 90s, we're mostly playing like The Hill is an encyclopedia.
Once again, say it again.
In the 90s, when I started playing, for example, we just throw stuff on the table for terrain. So the Hill is an encyclopedia. So like,
yeah. So I mean, you showed it again, and it's always the perspective. If you want to try out a new system and stuff, you can make it just with paper and or cardboard.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was doing in my when I was doing those solo games.
Yeah, totally, and it's just about the perspective. What aims you have with it, and of course I have this kind of idea that I really enjoy the process itself. Of course you have the space and you store it somewhere, but on the other hand, I would one day really love the thing Michael mentioned on the Guild Build stream, that like doing some kind of cinematic stuff with the terrain, like if you're investing so much time and going into detail and stuff, it's great to make some kind of atmospheric backdrop or like little scenes and so on, like
the stop motions it does, for example. I know those are a lot of work, and I think he gets a lot of help from Elijah, his nephew, to do them. But the work they're doing together is just fantastic. It's like
totally, yeah. And I would really love to go into this stuff, but I find out like video editing and stuff is a whole new barrel, as we say. You open a new barrel, and it's very deep.
I only do some very light editing on my videos, just putting stuff together and things like that. But there's just so much. It's like I know there's I know this much, and that there's this much left to learn if I want to experiment. And do I really want to go in that direction? Maybe eventually, but one thing I would not do for sure, for example, is stop motion animation, because I know exactly how much work that takes.
Yeah. I mean, we chatted about it, like I tried to make a bit of a kind of more coherent Auftritt, it's called representation with all the social media stuff, and make this kind of fancy new logo. And I saw like, okay, one could start with making something like, okay, to make the different elements appear, like a really simple kind of stop motion stuff, or I don't know, but if someone knows any great free software for this or a good workflow for total noobs, I would appreciate it. So, but I really enjoy it, and that's the great thing about the hobby. Like there's so many facets to it. There are so many aspects, and you can always you're always busy. Like learning new stuff and
there's
trying out.
Always something to explore. So we're talking about building terrain. Have you been doing that for a long time?
In fact, yeah, when we played Warhammer Fantasy back in, I mean, we were like 13, 14 maybe or so. We made a bit of terrain like this, but it was like more, okay, my dad has some old train, how it's called, model train stuff, and we make some, we get some trees. And I remember making the most ambitious thing, like it was like a little mine entry for the Dwarven army. I played dwarves back then, and so, but it was really, yeah, it wasn't too much, effort put into it. And it was also like, yeah, we started it, and only maybe 1 or 2 years later, we all kind of skipped it, you know, like, and
yeah, that happens.
Played role-playing games. That's something I did quite continuously with some breaks, but the whole tabletop and terrain building stuff, yeah, I came back maybe 3 years ago or so, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I think I had something of a similar path myself. I think I only started terrain crafting again in the last couple of years, just before I started the channel.
Yeah, it's super interesting to see I mean, what I was following, because I was when I was drawing maps, I really enjoy watching tutorials and so on.
Yeah.
And because there are not many tutorials about map making. There are nowadays, or more and more, but at least I didn't needed them for my process, and so I watched a lot of like, yeah, Luke's APS or Black Magic Craft and so on, yeah, or Mel the Terrain Router, of course, and all these videos, you know, like, and then you're starting to try out new stuff for yourself. And
do you have a favorite piece of terrain you made or something like that?
Oh, favorite piece, actually, I'm not sure. It's like the last two pieces I made are quite, I would say, like, they are the most I'm the most proud of, so, or they are the most elaborate ones, or at least they are
the guild build, yeah? The ones you made for the
guild
build, yeah.
Yes, I mean, the other ones, like, I made some stuff for an urban build.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Maybe I can show you guys. Oh, that's the wrong direction. Need to change the camera. So here you see my messy workspace, and I gotta flip the camera. I hope it works.
Okay, it's working.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, okay, that's like a subway entrance of some kind.
Yes, that's for example I made these experiments with these razor stuff, and, like, you know, for one day having kind of terrain for more time, for example, or just for pen and paper, and they look quite crappy because I just made grout texture paste between the flat ones here, so it looks a bit dark.
I like that effect. What did you use for that grout?
Yes, it's just a grout and a bit of PVA, I think, and umber, natural umber.
Okay.
And yes, and so, but the most, yeah, I really what started my newer journey was, like, I made this little ruined. I'm not sure if you can see them.
I think I remember when you were making this.
Yes, this is kind of a ruined viaduct, you know, like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just enjoyed making this rubble, and so it's not even finished painting it, you know, like. But I was really happy with the structure, and
I like the details you put in, even the infill in the wall and stuff like that. It's very detailed.
Yeah, many thanks. Yeah, it's my. I mean, I'm not sure you guys how you are, how do you like the new video game from FromSoft, Elden Ring? It's quite the hype at the moment.
I haven't really looked into it. I haven't played many video games in the last couple of years, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. Me either. But yesterday I've been at a friend, and he's a total video game nerd, and he's very much into these new titles. And I mean, what I really like about their games is like they have so much. They put so much into creating a great atmosphere and the detail, especially like into rubble. You know, like it's so fun. That's something I learned from my friend, Canadian friend Michon. He said like he likes to study rubble, you know, or how sand or debris is in the places, you know, like because that's what makes the stuff realistic, you know, like, or gives it a special.
How did you make that infill, the earth part in the middle? Because it looks really good.
The earth part in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time. No, not the first time, but that was actually experimenting. One of the first times with the tile grout and different sorts of sand and gritty, more gritty sand, and having just a nice mixture of it, you know, like, and then washing it with different stuff. Yeah, and so I tried it. For example, here you can see it in the background, you know, like for these more ruined buildings. I wanted to go with it. I didn't want to make it totally ruined, but like, yeah, little parts of the wall, you know, like breaking or having some debris there. I'm not sure. Yeah, here it's on the other side. It's a similar thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like little details, but I think that's the thing that makes it like a bit more special, you know, like, and it's often, it doesn't take too long to make it, but it's like, for me itself, it's like a 100 or 200% boost of atmosphere and style.
Otherwise it looks like it came out of a factory. It doesn't have the same feeling to it.
Yes. I mean, yeah, as I said, Michon, he was quite a mentor, you know, like he introduced me to the concept of wabi-sabi. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but it's like a Japanese, philosophical, it comes from the Zen Buddhism, I think. It's like that you have these pottery, for example, which is always a bit off, you know, like it's never totally round, you know, it's never totally perfect and clean and neat. And I mean, yeah, you can always say, of course, it's a bad excuse for not working properly, you know, like, but in the end, I think it's that what makes the things interesting, you know, like, because it has this kind of irritating moment and this kind of, extra special. Another thing you asked me for personal thing that I really like. It's more a work in progress, but I haven't showed it anywhere or uploaded anything. You were talking about solo wargaming, and I bought a book of 5 parsecs from home. Maybe someone. Yeah. It's a sci-fi solo skirmish war game, and I just started to build a kind of a spaceship for it. I mean, it's maybe you know of this Northern Boy. He's called, I think. It's a great illustrator who does amazing spaceship designs, and it was a bit of inspired by it. You know?
I'm not familiar, but that looks awesome.
It's a bit phallic, you know.
Most spaceships are.
And I went a bit crazy, you know, like with this cabling and stuff. And we will see how it works when it's all primed and more. How to say? Yeah, see if it's come together.
Yeah, those are all straws and pens in there, and that's a part of a water pistol, I think.
Yes. It's a classic thing, you know, like the water pistol, but pretty much went from the small water pistol part, and yeah, this is a half bottle of wash, how it's called, yeah, liquid detergent, something like that, yeah.
Oh,
For the
I thought that was part of the water pistol.
no.
It didn't occur to me that was a detergent bottle cut up. Nice.
Yeah. And so I'm in the process of working as I really enjoyed working on styrene, on these doors, for example, for these urban fantasy stuff. Like I really enjoyed doing the intricate work here, and for spaceships work and sci-fi work, you can even do more crazy stuff with it. So like here, I made some. It's already primed, but I worked on some bots. I'm not sure if you can see. Maybe I posted them in the Discord, in the Crazy Crafter Discord one day.
I don't remember seeing them, but they look cute.
It's like from scrap stuff from old CD players and lenses. And I'm not sure if I can make it out. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, going into this sci-fi road, and also just having having these different paths to go. Like as I said, it's my hobby, and so I can decide what I like to make with it, and I don't have to make it. Oh, a moment. This is my place here. I want to change the camera for a second.
Oh, there you go.
You're right. Okay. No, this isn't working like that. One moment. Sorry. Total professional, Now I'm upside down. Yay!
Okay, you're right. Up again.
Yes. I really enjoy having different projects at the moment. Like it's you always can skip if you are bored with something and you need some different stuff to do. You just can. Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I try to only stick to one project at a time.
Why you don't like to stick, or why you like to stick?
I like to stick to one project at a time, because if I have multiple going on at the same time, I can just skip the next one and then I'll come back to it, and I end up never coming back to them.
Yeah, that's the risk, of course. Yeah. But for me, as I said, especially now with the situation with Corona, it's like at the moment I'm not playing a lot with it, or doing maybe some solo wargaming or trying out stuff. But it's not like I have sadly no pen and paper campaign running at the moment, or I just reached out for a local wargaming club, like tabletop club, which is opening now, and they are having more and more events and so on. Because I really like to play again,
I don't. Especially after you've built all that cool stuff, you want to use it.
Yeah, totally. In some way, at least, yeah. And also, somehow, grounded a bit more, yeah. Otherwise, it's sometimes a bit like, I do all this stuff, which is all actually related to playing with it, And in some way, it's totally okay that I'd say I just do it for the sake of it, and. But I want to reach out the next time a bit, and try to get some actual playing.
That's good. I mean, I know some people who just build stuff for the sake of building it, and that's awesome. But I like to get games in.
Yeah, that was with the guild build. The first time I made something like an actual diorama, like where you have this boxed setting and cut off the edges, and it's like, okay, it's just made for the shelf, you know, like it won't ever be used on any tabletop, because otherwise, yeah, if you build kind of scattered terrain or any terrain pieces, you can use them one day or another, or maybe you make a campaign especially for this terrain piece, you know, for pen and paper. Yeah, but with this diorama, it was clear, okay, I just do it for its own sake, you know, like it's totally okay for me. It's just for the shelf or looking nice, and yeah, but it was a new experience also.
I think it's a different set of skills, because then you have to really have, if you have a diorama, then that is going to be examined very closely.
Sorry, I was a bit just listening. Can you say it again?
I said with a diorama, then it is going to be examined very closely, because people are going to be looking at from every angle.
Yeah, if it stands in a kind of in a gaming club or in a museum on my shelf, not so many people. Some people like I was happy. I had a friend over who was like, "Oh, wow, great to see what you're working on." And so, but yeah, in fact, as I said, on the other hand, it's just the window, like the picture window, you know, like where I can post it somewhere, but it's also just a piece of it or one perspective on it.
Okay, and in the last year, you've also started sculpting, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, not just sculpting, but also, I think in one of your models, you also used some natural materials, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, once again?
I think in one of your miniatures, you also used some natural materials or stuff you had found, I think, yeah?
Yeah. I really enjoy the process of actually incorporating used materials, or not used materials too, like the classic
found materials, stuff like that, yeah.
Materials and stuff, yeah. And I don't get this kind of weird cabling. This is a Warhammer 40K homage, you know, like the cabling and stuff. It's under high feeling. So, yes, I mean, I showed it, or I showed it on the when Colin and Michael and Zane had me over on the Crazy Crafter, this piece which is standing here for months already, you know, like. I really enjoy the look of it, and I'm scared a bit of priming it. You know?
Why is that?
I'm not sure, because it's like it loses this kind of. At the moment, it's like you can see the 7 or 8 different materials going into.
I see. Okay, I get you.
Bark and metal and the green stuff and the texture stuff, the grout and the stones and roots and so on. And when I prime it, you know, like I love it usually when you prime it the step, like it's like a trope in terrain building, you know, like it makes pop and then the whole thing comes together.
Yeah. I mean,
but in this case, I'm like, I'm a bit scared, you know, like I like the look of it, or I got used to the look of it. So, but I started his family, so to speak, working on his family.
I saw the photos on Instagram, I think, but they didn't have the little robes yet.
Yes, yeah, I made some ropes, and especially these kind of weird, like also roots or twigs.
Right.
As I have 3 of them. We'll see. And
how do you find the twigs? Because I'm a bit afraid of using them for miniature builds. For terrain, it's okay, because you can use chunkier ones, but for miniatures, I'm a bit worried about them breaking when you're playing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Yeah,
oh, right.
they are already breaking, you know, like, but at the moment it's like, yeah, okay, I stick some other on it. Doesn't matter too much, but yeah, that's something I am not quite sure of at the moment. You know, they are more like special pieces, you know, and not sure yet when they will come into play.
So they're not something that you would be playing with every week if you had games every week, for example.
Yes, yeah, and so I would use them. I mean, I talked a bit about it. I made them for kind of an interesting skirmish game. Would love to try out one day. But in fact, it's quite generic. You know, you can use it as an encounter for a pen and paper game. You know, like or some weird as some weird ghosts or stuff. You know, and
They remind me a bit of some of those, some of the spirits from Berserk.
Berserk.
The manga, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read. I've only seen some of it. The friend of mine, where I have been yesterday, he really enjoyed Berserk, for example. He refers to it sometimes, but I don't know. Maybe it's my to watch list is like, you know, or to read.
Yeah, we all have one of those watch lists.
Yes, but on the other hand, at the moment, I'm super happy that I like every time I think like, oh, you haven't played video games in such a long time, or you want to watch new TV series or so, and I think, yeah, no, I enjoy drawing or sculpting or building terrain a lot more at the moment. So it's also kind of cool situation, you know, like where you can choose from.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always have something to do rather than just consuming media.
Yes, and on the other hand, like we were talking a lot about it. It's for me, it's like the main source of inspiration still. Sometimes subconsciously, but it's what. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's more like browsing through Instagram or so, and feel like some people in the hobby mention it sometimes. Like it's sometimes a bit overwhelming, you know. Like you always see really great stuff, and of course, you like to follow people that you really enjoy, or you think, yeah, you are doing great stuff, you know, like, and then you're always surrounded by absolutely great artwork or stuff and or super inspiring things, and then it's like, oh, whoa, yeah, and what do I do next?
So
yeah,
but their workshop says making culture is way more fun than consuming it. 100%.
yeah.
And Tina says, I love my crafting, it's keeping me sane. True, yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's a great way to remove stress. Just work on something.
totally. Yeah, that's also a way where how I came into it, like the meditative aspect of, you know, like, for example, painting miniatures or building terrain. It's always like I mean, how I would say, I'm every one of you guys watching knows about it, so it's
It's just about focusing on something and just stop worrying about everything else for a few minutes a day.
yes, yeah. And on the other hand, I totally enjoy watching a great movie or so, and I just started watching the Witcher series with my partner, actually, because we usually don't have the time at the moment, you know, when we have our daughter in bed. But at least my girlfriend is often very tired, you know, like, and after a day, and
Totally get you.
for me, it's like, okay, I try to carve out at least some more hours, but then I am quite tired at the next day. But I can't watch stuff that I really would like to enjoy. So like some series or some films, I don't want to watch while crafting, you know, like, or some or
That doesn't work for me. I can't focus on two things at the same time.
yeah. So for me that works with kind of video tutorials or kind of documentaries or so, where I know, okay, it's like I can passively consume it, but when things that I really actively like to watch, you know, like that interests me, I need to go away from my workspace, so otherwise it doesn't work.
Now, for example, even if I'm watching the Crazy Crafter live stream, for example, I cannot watch it and follow at the same time. So what I usually do is just enjoy the stream, just have fun, talk in the chat and so on,
Hmm.
and then go back and try out stuff later.
Yeah. Sometimes for me at least, it's like, yeah, it makes total difference. Often when I just sit around, maybe I browse some other stuff or looking for emails or so, and then I'm more active in the chat. But of course, when it's often like when I do stuff for myself, it's like, okay, yeah, and sometimes I hear anything and then I type something. But it's, of course, I get it. I'm not too much into multitasking myself. So yeah, and yeah. But it's I think I once said with the discussion with Tina for a short, we were chatting. It's like with all the social media stuff, it's like, of course, it's more like I actually don't want to have it like I upload stuff and really enjoy that I have attention and people are liking it, or writing nice comments and so on. But like having all these accounts and stuff and being commenting or on stuff, all the stuff that I see takes so much time, like when and it takes so much of my precious hobby time, like
I get you. I totally get you.
And sometimes it's really like, oh man, I would love to go way more into detail and commenting about stuff that I really like about this or this piece or this video or so. And it's on the other hand, sometimes like, oh no, I just want to work on my stuff. I enjoy it. And I hope you people know that I enjoy the stuff that you make or upload or work on, at the moment.
I totally get you. And in fact, sometimes I just do that. Never mind the camera. I just build something for my own sake, just because I want to do that.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah. But I'm as I said, I'm always really fascinated that you are making, that you're creating this content for YouTube, and you're struggling with the video editing every time, or making voiceovers or stuff, like, I mean, it takes quite a lot of extra time to make it.
It does, but on the other hand, I am finding it very useful, both as an exercise for talking and so on.
Yes, yeah.
And also because my memory isn't what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm terrible at keeping notes.
Yeah.
So for example, if I wanted to paint, when I was doing the desert battle mat, I wanted to do this the desert.
Desert battle.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to use the same paint scheme I used on the obelisks, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if I had just put it down on a piece of paper and whatever, I would have lost that piece of paper. So instead I was just this video, check it out. Okay, this was it. And it really helps me that way too.
Yeah, all the time for me too. Yeah, I have a notebook, but it's often the notes that you really need at the moment, they aren't in it. So
that's the problem. I mean, I think I have several notebooks and I have no idea where any of them are.
So, yeah. So, but I always wanted to ask you. Yeah, I really enjoy the desert theme you made, and the from you. I think you mentioned the Conan. Is it the Conan board game, or this? Is it a skirmisher, or is it board game?
It's a board game. I mean, like you've got like a sort of mission scenarios, and it's one player plays. It's pretty much a simplified role-playing game. But then there is also Conan the role-playing game, which is a different game, but you can use the same miniatures for it.
Yeah, of course. I really love the miniatures because that's why I'm asking. I really enjoy the style of them.
The miniatures are from Monolith Games, and I I think they just finished their second Kickstarter, but I think they're also selling them commercially.
Okay.
In stores and stuff, I mean, so you can probably find them. The role-playing game is this one. I think this one is the collector's edition.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course, and yeah, it's pretty much. Let's see if I can find some artwork. It's a lot of text, not much, not so much empty space. To be honest, they packed it in really tightly. So yeah.
Yeah.
Very Conan the Barbarian style. I quite like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was that was the perfect thing for as we had with this media consumption during drawing, for example. It really works, or not always, but some stuff like audiobooks, for example. I can hear when I'm doing when I'm drawing forests, for example, and you just have to do thousands of tiny triangles or tiny circles. But if you're like conceptualizing or thinking about how do I'm going next, and I don't know, if you're going on another level, I'm totally out and saying, damn, I missed the chapter and so on. But during drawing all these maps we talked about earlier, I listened to all the Conan audiobooks, the Robert E. Howard books, and I think I mentioned Clark Ashton Smith and
Yes.
so on, Lovecraft and all this stuff. It was perfect for drawing fantasy maps or being inspired.
The other thing is that if you're familiar with something like take Michael, for example, from Network Videos, he's listened and read The Lord of the Rings so many times and watched it. I don't think it even registers anymore, so he can just have it in front of him and be doing something else because he knows it by heart already.
Yeah. So it's no problem at all. Yeah.
And same if
totally.
you're listening to the same audiobook for a while, it just becomes a comforting noise at the end of the day.
Yeah, it sinks in, and it's like more. Yeah. I actually have to listen to it. I mean, it's harder for me to listen to English audiobooks, but I do spend time if there's no German version, obviously. But on the other hand, it's you have to concentrate even more. So it's like not always easy.
No, I imagine that.
Yes, man. I really enjoy talking to you because from the moment I see all the time the background, these lovely sword statues, you made, and it was pretty much it really inspired me to do some more, like high fantasy, epic, like this kind of Robert E. Howard style. Old school stuff,
the over the top stuff.
Yeah, and it really inspired me, like seeing you working on it and having these references, with Murk and so on. I was like, yeah, man, Karl, you're my man. I really like what you're doing, or the things that you are inspired by. Like it's common. I think it's always nice if you see people having similar inspirations, or similar
totally.
And look on stuff,
Yeah, and I think it's also one of the great things about communicating with other people who are also crafting and getting their ideas from different places, because things start bouncing around and then some incredible stuff happens. I mean, for example, I think you had built it's like a rock spire with some weapons hanging off of it or stuff like that. I mean, that really took it up to 11.
Who made this? The rock spire with that?
It was you. I mean, like you had sculpted those weapons and the shield to put on it.
Yes, yeah. yeah. And that, as I said, that was totally inspired by this kind of totemistic, like like sword or this. I mean, I collected also and played in Warhammer Fantasy. I collected Beastman and Chaos, and so it's like, yeah, I really like the kind of this totemistic world, and
Yeah, it
like
makes
the
a lot of
idea
sense.
of having some kind of dwarven troll slayer going into the mountains, to challenge the mighty dragon ogre lord, and so and this monolith where this paraphernalia or this kind of the loot of all these slain enemies is hanging, representing the might of this dragon overlord or stuff like that. It's like, yeah, that was at least what drove my motivation in this.
Nice. Really nice.
Yeah.
Tina is off.
Ah.
Good night, Tina.
Yeah, Tina is off. Yeah, bye, Tina. Tina is a lot of great inspiration for me also all the time.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, like the volume of the volume and the quality of the work she makes is great. And she's always great for sharing information. Like, how did you do this? And she's going, here you go.
Yes,
she's a really helpful person, and she's very fun to talk to.
Yeah, and interested in other techniques and stuff. So, and for me, it's also often like more the, I have a lot of try and error and or sometimes this kind of moments like, yeah, that's exactly the point, but I couldn't reproduce it, like, or it would be hard for me, like, or showing stuff. And that's why I'm, for example, not sure if I ever would like to make tutorials, like in a video format. And I mean, it's nice and flattering if people say, yeah, I really like the stuff you do and it's really great. But I wouldn't be sure if I could reproduce it or showing it in a way that others can profit from it. Like that's why what I love about your tutorials, they are totally precise and funny at the same time. Like you have a great mixture of like breaking it down in easy steps and being very methodical about it, but on the other hand, having great fun on the way. Like for me,
that's because I have fun making them. And
yes,
and also because I cannot be serious for a very long time. No, but joking apart, one thing about it, for example, there are different ways how people work. For example, some people will work out the process first. Okay.
The what first? Sorry?
Some people will work out the process first. So let's say that you want to build a mug. First, they work out how to build a mug.
Mm-hmm.
Then they build a second mug and make a tutorial with that. The way I work is I start recording, start throwing things together, and if it works out, I have a video.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm also sometimes thinking about like, how would you make a video, or what would you even do? Like doing a channel or something like that. And it's because I think the idea of creating content on YouTube or something like that is quite interesting, like, and I'm interested in a lot of stuff. So it's like, why not trying out something like that? But on the other hand, sometimes my biggest enemy are my own expectations,
That's always something to work against. I mean, I have a friend of mine who's a graphic designer, but he's a print graphic designer. I mean, he was the first, I think, 15 years of experience were on print. So he's always got this thing that before he releases something, it has to be completely finished, perfect, flawless. Because he's got this experience of once it goes out, it's gone out, and you cannot fix it again.
Yes, yeah.
and it's still holding him back from digital media stuff because on the internet things work completely differently. But I think again, it's like you have to draw a line. Like it's good enough to go out, but you can get it out in a reasonable amount of time.
Yes, totally. And then it's with all the stuff, and then it's also like a meme, for example, this like the in the hobby community on Instagram, for example, everyone is like raging about why are my work in progress pictures always watched way more than for example the shiny finished pieces, you know, like the picture of it, you know, like or the I'm just using another hashtag, and then you know, like you have the stuff is like no one sees it, you know, like, and you think that's my magnum opus, you know, like I want everyone to see it. No, why are you not watching? So on, and the next random picture you upload is like going through the roof and went viral, you know, like it's strange.
Again, it depends on what you're publishing for. For example, in my case, if I was publishing just to get views, I would probably have stopped already. But what I get is like when I put something out and I throw out a video or whatever, I get a lot of these conversations, like the conversation we're having now, like discussions with Earthman Brick, for example, with Mike and so on. And that gets really interesting. I think that's what drives me more than at the end of the day, the subscriber count or whatever the like count is just a number. But these discussions, I really learn a lot from them.
Yeah, for me it's also great. That's why I really like the format you started, or also the format of Colin's stream, for example, from the go. You know, like having a building where the building of the community and the interaction and the sharing of knowledge, you know, like is always implicated, you know, like I also really enjoy it. Like talking about it more and being yes, I'm not sure, like often it's like especially in these corona times, it's like everyone is like the monads in their own bubbles, you know, and it's so great to communicate around the world, totally. You know, like and, sharing the love for the stuff we do with people like in Australia or in Czechoslovakia or wherever, you know, and it's totally fascinating, in fact.
It is, and I mean, I think this kind of thing would start happening anyway, but eventually. But I think the status of the last 2 or 3 years just made it happen a lot faster. So Martin, it's getting kind of late, so I should probably be letting you go now.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you wrapping it up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I've kept you too long. Hours about stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. So everyone there, if you're not following Martin already, here's the link to his Instagram.
Yes, yeah.
And if you want to jump into my Discord, which I remember that I have, you might want to click on that link over there. So, Martin, thank you again so much for your time. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, many thanks for having me. I mean, as you said, I've just the Discord to share, maybe not a Discord, an Instagram account or stuff, but it's really great. I feel really honored to be invited to your fantastic format.
Man, it was an honor to have you here. I mean, like, your work is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, man. I can only give it back, and so you have always been a great inspiration, you know, like, and thank you, man. Looking forward to seeing many more videos and talking to each other.
So good night, Martin.
Thanks,
and thanks everyone in the chat.
Debating. So bye.
Good night.